Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Every game's at home for my team. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. What's up? What's going on, Callow?
Not much, man. What's going on?
Oh, just another Thursday. Getting ready for the old Panthers. That's what's going on, Callow. That's what's happening. Getting ready.
Isn't it weird that we're just talking about football for this long? Like, it feels weird that it's like, hey, there's a team that's, playing well. We're just talking about on the field things. No crests.
Not talking about
off
next
the field.
year.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little weird, isn't it? I talked about it yesterday.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get into this year when we start today. Keim's gonna be on in his weekly visit in a little bit. You won't see that on YouTube if you're watching here. You'll have to hear that on the radio show or the podcast because I taped it at the park with my phone. So you're not gonna see it. You're not gonna see it here. Anyway, yeah, I was actually. It was funny the other night. I do a live stream with him, and I like people were asking like, who should we get in the off season? And is John Allen going to play again for this team? And I'm like, guys, I'm over the next year stuff. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but things are different now. And I know it's around this time that we start talking about what's next to try to make it better. But I don't know if you've noticed, but we're 4-2 with the best rookie quarterback ever. And I don't know, like maybe we ought to just think about what we could do this year. So I'm with you here. Like I'm trying to be where your feet are, Callow. That's where I'm trying to be. Be where your feet are. This team's actually good. And I'll continue to make the case, which you're going to yell at me about. I think they should try to make it better, honestly. This year gives this team a chance to go as far as it can. That's the way I feel about it.
You're taking my my running mantra and applying it to the football team. My running mantra is run the mile that you're in because I'm gonna have to run 26 of them in 10 days. Who's counting?
Oh yeah.
And but you're doing that, but to the football season. Let's cover the week that we're in, guys, not the draft or free agency or whose contracts are up. So I'm actually, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one 100%.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to go look at Carolina and go, is Deontay Johnson available? Well, I'll have that conversation with you, this week. But if you want to talk about which corner you like in the draft next year that's not Travis Hunter because we're not getting a top 5 pick anymore, I'm not here for that at the moment. Please. And also, it is also, yes, very nice. The new normal is every other team seems to act crazy, and we're not the ones getting headlines about FBI probes. Like, that's nice, too. Very, very nice.
Right. It's not, the wheels aren't coming off, and, when you pull over on the side of the road, your car blows up. Like, that's seemingly what this franchise has been doing for the last 10 years. So
it's like, we won the game, but I'm scared of the headlines the next day. Like, the weirdest thing ever.
Right, you're afraid to start your car.
You won, but there's going to be a public stoning, and it's like, oh God, all right, well, whatever. Anyway, all right, let's do this. So I started to kind of survey it. A couple trades happened. Devontae went to the Jets, and Amari Cooper went to the Bills. First of probably many moves around the league. And so I started to look around because we were talking about this yesterday, and I'm like, listen, like, I want to see if there's a move to be made. I don't want it to go crazy here. And I think this group will be disciplined because they've been disciplined the whole time. So they're not going to like give up their first round pick for somebody or anything like that. And I wouldn't advocate for anything like that. But I do think that this team should be active in trying to improve the defense if the right person comes along at the right price. And if Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper are going for 3rd round picks, and these are Pro Bowl or higher type players, well, then like I would expect that as long as you're not getting the best corner, available in the NFL, that the price could be right. And so here's what I'm looking at. And this is the team I'm watching closely. And I think welcome to the new NFL where teams, because the deadline's been moved back a little bit, teams kind of know where they are. No one wants to say tanking, but if they see that their season is going the wrong way, like, where I'm going with this. Like, Cleveland bailed on Amari Cooper. Why did they do that? Because we know why. Because their season went sideways. It's not going to get better. They're not removing Deshaun for whatever reason that they're not removing Deshaun. They'll have to deal with that in the offseason. They got 2 years left with him. So that's their they're talking about next year already. They're actively doing it. So I'm looking at Cleveland. And clearly they want to sell. It is my gut that says they probably want to do it because they're probably eyeing their quarterback of the future now, whether that's Shedeur Sanders or the guy from Georgia or the guy from USC or whoever else I'm missing right now who they think might be the next good quarterback, because they could have a really terrible record by the end of the year. And that may soften the blow of whatever they do with Deshaun. Like, they might honestly just cut him. Like, I actually wouldn't be totally shocked if that's what they do at the end of the season, even though it's a massive cap hit, and turn it over to a rookie quarterback. But regardless of what they do, they're squarely in the what parts do you want to get rid of camp. That's what I think, because they got rid of Cooper, and that's not a signal of a total sell-off, but it's a signal of we're open to it, and we know we're going to lose, and we're okay with that for the rest of this season. So I'm looking at them, and they've got two things that we need. Zadarius Smith would be a rental for us. Like, he would potentially upgrade our pass rush. He would probably not get re-signed beyond this year, and he would cost us very little in terms of an asset. So that's name one from them that I'm watching closely as this would be unusual, but it might just make us better for this year, and not cost us much. And I'm in that mode right now. What could we do on the margins to make this team better and give them a chance?
I actually talked about this yesterday. Who's their younger corner? It's Newsome, right?
So Newsome, I'm gonna get to him in a second, but okay. Like on Smith, this is what I don't think I want Hassan Reddick. He wants a big new deal. Like, I don't want Smith. You're renting a mercenary. So I'm okay with that in this scenario if it's going to be some conditional 6th round pick or something like that.
Yeah, this is where I landed with you yesterday, and I actually talked about this on my show a little bit. We actually don't even know what the definition of all in is anymore. Like, if all in is a 3rd round pick, then yeah, I'm with you. But anything more than that, I'm kind of out on, right? But yeah, Smith shouldn't cost you anything more than a 6th or a 5th, knowing that most teams aren't going to want to re-sign him. They're just going to rent him, not unlike Chase Young last year, right? But Chase Young and Montez Sweat last year did cost you, 3rd round picks and 4th round, a conditional 4th round pick, essentially. So that's that. But that was last year's market, not this year's market. So I have a feeling it would be a little bit less. And those, by the way, those guys were coming off rookie contracts essentially as well. So I'm with you. Like, I would make a small move like that for a 6th round pick. The reason I brought up Newsome, though, was because I looked at their roster, looked at both those guys, said, can you package them? And would you be comfortable doing that for a 3rd round pick? Or if this team makes it to the NFC Championship, it kicks up to a 2nd round pick. Yep. Like, I think that's a deal that I would want to look at, because I also think if Newsome actually worked out here, and I know you're going to get to him, he's younger, he's coachable. Like, he's got the potential of they could re-sign him and shore up the position a little bit. Or if Smith works out too, I could see them going that route. Like, I don't think they re-sign both, but they both look like options that could solve one of those major positions for you for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, Zadarius Smith is a total rental situation, but like makes the team better, for this year, which, like, because of their start, because of the way Jaden looks, because of the road in the NFC East, and because I look at the NFC and I don't see a lot of juggernauts out there. You know what? Why not? Is the way I kind of just feel about it. Like, this wasn't what I expected at the end of camp. It's where I've landed now. And I look at guys like Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner, guys like that, and I go, they didn't come here for charity. Like, give them a chance to win too. Like, they're playing at really, really high levels. They may only be here for a year, 2, 3, whatever it may be. Like, let them have a chance to win too. And that's kind of how they're not here just out of the good graces of their heart. Like, they're here to win too. So I look at people like that and I go, give that locker room a chance. They're fighting their guts out. They're super smart. Like, give them a chance. And I look around the NFC, especially our division, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it seems very wide open. The schedule is totally opened up for this team to go on some kind of whatever you call run with all of these home games and limited travel. Like, it's set up. Like, they got through the hard part. The 4 of the first 6 on the road, at Cincinnati, at Baltimore. Like, the fact that they're 4-2 after that, this is why I'm like, we need to reward this and try to make a run with this team. On the other one, which is corners, and again, like Cleveland, I want to look at very closely here. Like, they've got good ones, and they already signed Denzel Ward. And that's why Newsome's name keeps popping up, because are they going to pay for 2 corners at a higher rate? That's a different one. Zadarius Smith to me is a rental. If Newsome or someone like that's available, this is why I keep pointing at them, because they're clearly probably going to start selling. Well, like that's the one where a mid-round pick seems actually logical with a re-sign. The reality here is, like, this is the weakest position group of this team, the Commanders, at that spot. They're going to need 1, maybe 2 new corners, and one of them to be a top-end one. That could come via the draft, but what we're describing here is they're not going to be that high in the draft, or at least anywhere where we thought they were going to be or potentially could be. Means you have to go out in free agency and do it anyway. So why not look at them and say, is there a deal to be had for one of their guys? And I don't know that, whether Quinwit loved those particular players, but I do know some of this is the market and who's available. And I got a funny feeling that one of them may be. So I want to talk to them about Greg Newsome and see what the going rate is if they're willing to move off of him.
The talk with Newsome, too, is that the Browns set their team up in a way that it's hard to actually tear it down. A lot of their veterans have these long extensions that they have a bunch of money added to the back end that actually makes them hard to move and hard to cut. That's why guys like Newsome and, of course, Smith, who's a rental, but Newsome is actually very movable for them, because I think Newsome also still has a year left on his deal after this season.
He might have did they pick up the 5th-year option? Maybe that's what it is.
I want to say they did. So you would have some time, too, to see him as well. But, like, what I'm getting at here is Cleveland is basically, if they are actually, quote unquote, tearing it down, they have to move on from players like that, because they're actually the only ones that are movable. So you might as well move them now to get the draft picks coming up in this draft.
And it serves the purpose of, I think they want to get bad this year. I mean, they already are. I think the only way for them to ensure it, though, is to strip out a few of those parts, especially on defense, I think. So that's why I'm watching them. A couple other names I saw CBS put out, like their list of here trades that we think could potentially happen. Tre'Davious White was a great corner with Buffalo, had a ton of injuries, is now with the Rams. I guess I haven't paid a lot of attention, but their record's been bad. And so he'd be, again, a rental. Like, he's not someone I would advocate you sign for a long period of time. And I think, like, with Zadarius Smith or a rusher, I'm open to, can we bring somebody in here that helps us for the now, even if they're not here for the long term? At corner, I am more inclined to go for someone like Newsome, who I re-sign, because I like him. We're trading for him. We're going to re-sign him, as opposed to someone like White. But if Newsome or those types of players aren't available, I guess I'll hear something like this out. Rarely do these things work out, where the veteran who's been injured, who's bounced around a little bit, comes in and turns around and is a Pro Bowler again. So I'm less inclined to advocate for something like this, but apparently it's a name that's out there. And not that long ago, he was really, really good. Jonathan Jones from New England, similar situation. Their record is going to be what it's going to be. I'll get to another player from them in a moment. Similarly, I don't know that I want to sign and extend him. And at that position, I am kind of looking for the now and the long term, but there are names that are out there. So we have to think about them.
No, both of those guys I highlighted yesterday as well. And it said that the going rate for, like, the veteran corners is anywhere from like a 6th or a 5th round pick. I'm fine with parting with one of those. Like, I think, although I do think this team, they don't have a 6th round pick. I think they have 3 7ths, right? I think that's what they've settled in on, because they did all
if the Rams are going to take a 7th round pick for Tre'Davious White, I have to listen to it, assuming that he's healthy. Yeah.
But that's what I'm getting at. I think they would have to maneuver a little bit, probably have to be like some kind of exchange there if they had to move one of the picks. But that's what I'm getting at. I'm fine with that. I'm with you, though. It doesn't solve a long-term deal, essentially, when it comes to cornerback.
No. Okay, there's the other rusher that I'm looking at is Josh Uche from New England. So it's another similar situation where they already let Matthew Judon go. So I like their defensive personnel. They clearly don't have the offense to win a lot. They're in the wrong division. Like, whatever you think of the Jets, doesn't matter. They can't outscore a team like that, or the Bills. So they've got to think about what they're going to do. And again, this is another one. I'd want to know what we think of this particular player before really advocating to go after someone like that. But like, an extra pass rusher seems necessary. Question is, is he really that much better than Cleveland Farrell, Dante Fowler, like some of the guys we already have on the team? Like, he seems to fall in the same bucket to me, that it's not actually really an upgrade. So it would just be, to me, he would be another body. And I don't know that that's the direction I want to go, albeit I am advocating give this team a chance to win. So if it's an extra body that makes them better at a position group that's been weakened by injury, for sure, I will hear it out. But the price has really got to be right on something like that, because I look at him and I go, like Zadarius Smith, I'm not signing them long term. This is for the here and now. So it would have to be something that it's like, okay, we'll just do it to do it with him.
Yeah, same thing. Like, pretty much the only reason you do that is if he's available for the right price. I think that's where he falls in line with that. But same thing. Like, I don't know if I'm wanting to re-sign him either. Like, that's where I'm kind of landing with a lot of these names. They all hop out right now. Are you comfortable with just giving up the draft pick for a rental? That's pretty much where we're all landing.
Yeah. You know, I've focused on the defensive side of the ball because they're ranked like 23rd overall. They gave up almost 500 yards a week ago. Now they have injuries on the defensive line, some of which are not, John Allen's not coming back this year. So if you really want to try to, turn this year into something that could be special, like the focus of the deadline for me is that side of the ball. But I'm not overlooking the fact that, like, while offensively they've been amazing, there is room, and I think we all know that the receiver position could be upgraded with an influx of a little bit of talent. So I will point out T. Higgins at this point, because they have him on a franchise deal. They already have Chase on a deal that they're clearly going to re-sign him. There's no chance that they can really. They played hardball with him with 2 years left on his deal. When it's 1 year left, they won't. They're going to have to give one of these two guys a deal. They're not going to give it to both of them. I think they tried to squeeze out this year for the way that it was. It hasn't gone well yet. I'm not done thinking they could turn it around, because Cleveland's going the wrong way and Pittsburgh doesn't have an offense that's prolific enough, I think, to really keep up the record that they have. They'll probably be a 500 team. So I'm open to the idea that Cincinnati turns the season around because of Burrow and Higgins and Chase, and they end up having a decent to good record and vie for a playoff spot, which may prohibit them from doing something like this. One more loss, though, over the next couple of weeks, or a surprising one, maybe they change their mind. And at that point, I'd want to know, what do the coaching staff and specifically Peters think of him? Because if we are going to make a move for a, receiver and an upgrade in talent, I think he's the one that's out there that I would consider. So if he's available, that's a maybe. That would be my theory of with Baltimore. Go all in on your offense. Your offense is so good that, like, just go do it and see if anybody can outscore you this year and try to get to the Super Bowl that way. I don't know that I feel that profoundly confident in our offense to do that yet. But if he's available and we're not doing anything on the defensive side of the ball because the deal's not right, I'll hear out T. Higgins, honestly.
I'll hear that out as well, especially because if he gets traded mid-season, it's not like he can demand the extension like in the offseason, right? Like, you still have to play regardless.
That's right.
So that's the other part here too, that, like, that's the difference between trading for him, in the summer as to right now. If you trade for him in the summer, he's going to hold out and want the deal, whereas now he's got to play. And I actually would like this one a little bit more, mainly because you get a trial run with him, right? Like, I don't know what his deal's going to look like. He's probably going to get top 10 money is probably what my guess is going to be. But at least you'd see what he'd look like in this offense, and you'd see what it would open up with Terry and him on the other side. So I'm with you. I'd be open to that one if one of the defensive, moves doesn't make sense. I just don't know what they'd be asking for him. But I do know this. Not unlike the Browns essentially tanking and wanting to get rid of contracts, I bet you the Bengals are the financial version of that. They're probably trying to shed salary so they don't have to pay some of these guys and have a bad season. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if they were trying to move him.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't think they're going to sign both him and Chase. So that's why they're probably holding out to see if they can win this year, which is why it won't happen fast. But if it goes the wrong way in a couple more games and they feel like they're too buried, they may do it. So we'll keep an eye on it. All right. Take a quick break. Very much the show speed. All right, welcome back. Steelers country, let's ride. It's Russ's turn. I've heard some people like give a take that they thought that this wasn't the right move for them. I don't think you're paying attention. Like the whole has headed in the direction that his detractors feared, which was he's an incredible athlete, but he's limited in the passing game. And their offense, while it started relatively well, and I've been advocating for a while, like this guy's a great athlete in the right place with the right coaching. Watch out. Like the light bulb could go off. He could be really good. And I've watched enough to know, I think I said this last week, they'd be crazy not to give Rush a chance in this offense based where their record is, because I don't see it with Fields right now. I see it going back to the way it was with the Bears. He's looking like he's getting a bit confused. Defenses, he then just relies on his athleticism, starts to do some crazy things. That can be jackpot plays and it can be bust plays for him. And I don't feel like Tomlin likes consistency, and I got a feeling that ain't flying with him. You will get consistent play out of Russ. You could complain about a lot of things with him, but you will get that. And I actually think Pittsburgh's doing the right thing here, at least for this period of time. Navigate your way into mid-November, December, and if you're near 500, make the choice then. Who do you want to go with? But I think it would be dereliction of duty if they don't give Russ an opportunity to see if this team functions a little bit more consistently on offense with Russ at quarterback. So I don't even get like the complaint about it. I actually think it's the right thing to do.
No, I mean, I think their offense has been okay the last couple of weeks. It's just, you know what you're getting with Justin Fields. And I think when you look at them trying to win a Super Bowl, well, we know which quarterback is going to play quarterback the more normal way, and that's Russ. And I'm with you. Like, I'm with the fans that that are mad that Fields is getting benched with the record the way that it is. But I also think sometimes you look at a team and we're not winning a Super Bowl with the way that we're playing right now. And that's where it goes with Fields right now. They're not going to win a championship with the way he plays quarterback. You have to pull the trigger at Russ at some point. And I actually, though, what's funny is they probably gave Russ a couple more weeks than he absolutely needed to. You and I both know how the NFL works. Like, he probably...
Because they were winning.
Right.
Because they were winning.
And also, though, you also want to make sure Russ is legitimately healthy. That was a hamstring injury. Like, that thing could flare up, and all of a sudden, he ends up getting, hurt, and it keeps recurring. So I think they were also kind of on the fence of make sure he's actually healthy, and then we'll give him a chance in this offense. I think you had to pull the trigger at some point. We all knew both of these quarterbacks were going to play at some point this season.
Let's see. In Dallas, Jerry doubled down on these guys, it's not their jobs to ask me the questions about the things that I did that set up our roster for the type of year that predictably were actually happening. But because we're the Cowboys, people suspend belief that like maybe their roster isn't as good as it was a year ago, and therefore their record won't be the same. And oh, by the way, they have no history of winning over the last generation. So it's not like they've been the Patriots. They've been a good team who actually drafts typically pretty well, has competitive teams, but they never get over the top. I mean, that's kind of been what they were. So he goes after him again. It's one of two things for me now, because Jerry knows the media plays it so well. He either did this purposefully because he changed the conversation away from his team that got embarrassed the other day, or he is getting old and is doing old man things. So I'm not sure which one it is, because he's getting roundly criticized for doing what he did for good reason. He doesn't pay these hosts. Like when he said, I'll pay you. That's not your job. I don't pay you to do this. He doesn't pay them. So he's either the old man who forgot this isn't the in-house media interview. It's a different interview. Yes, they pay the Cowboys to have him. He doesn't pay them, the host, to conduct the interviews. So he either got confused, right? Or he did it on purpose. And I'm not sure which one it is. It's somewhere in the middle, though, I think.
He did say, I can get someone else to ask me these questions. He didn't say...
He could demand that the host doesn't interview him. Like, sure. Trust me, I don't need to tell this. I'm not going to tell this story publicly, but like, I've been involved in things like that, sure, where there were other people doing interviews and suddenly I was doing them.
Right. Okay? But what I'm getting at is I think there was an overreaction of people thinking that Jerry was coming for their jobs. I think Jerry was just like, I'll take these to another show. That's what I think he was really getting at there. I thought that was way blown out of proportion. You hit the nail on the head, though. He's doing this to distract from the game on Sunday. Like, that was their worst loss under his ownership. and they've signed Dak, they've signed CeeDee Lamb, they're paying other players. All this did was deflect everything from the game onto Jerry. And Jerry doesn't care. He owns the team. He's going to make the money. I told you this before. The Cowboys have a little Cubs in them these days. Like, as long as they're good, they're still printing money. You have to pay attention because they're good. Stephen A is going to react to every loss. Like, they're actually rolling in it pretty well. Jerry did this to distract from the fact that an NFC contender and the Lions didn't just beat his team, embarrassed them. We're throwing the hook and lateral plays. Like, linemen are catching touchdowns. Dan Campbell was out to embarrass his team, and nobody was talking about it on Tuesday. Nobody was talking about it. So I think it was a pure Jerry, Vince McMahon, hey, everyone, look over here. Don't pay attention to that mess that happened on Sunday afternoon.
Al Michaels' nightmare tonight. Injured Saints versus Denver. That's an interesting choice of a matchup just to start with. I guess they're going with the Peyton versus the Saints thing, which, I mean, I'll hear you, but nobody cares about. Like, it took me a second to realize that was the case. And because it's Bo Nix versus Spencer Rattler, the teeth are out of that selling point to me. So y'all let me know how that one goes tonight. And lastly, Caps round 3 at home. They get Dallas. We got tonight.
Dallas, they're always a sneaky hard opponent. If you want to believe, I think it's like the Caps haven't beaten Dallas at home in over like 10 years or something ridiculous like that, because they only come here one time. I forget what the actual number is, but they have not beaten Dallas at home in a million years or whatever the stat is. The Caps played really well on Tuesday. The Stars are a good team. I'm not going to give you a prediction here, but I think it's going to be a close one. Give me like a 3-2 game, 4-3 game some type of game like that. We'll see what happens here in goal. I'm pretty sure Lindgren's going to get the start. I liked Thompson really well on Tuesday night. Let's see if this is our first little jockeying for the number 1 goaltender position. We'll see what Lindgren does against a good team.
Let's see. Ovechkin was moved positions. He had 2 assists after the moving positions. There it is. Changes position every game. Change it every game. You'll get the results you're looking for. Yeah. Every game.
Goaltender.
Somewhere else every game. Keep them locked in. All right, everybody.
The stat for Ovechkin, by the way, we didn't mention it. He's the 6th player in NHL history, 700 goals, 700 assists. Just another big, milestone for him.
Another one. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bram, what's the show? ESPN 630 Sports Capital.